I've got no issue with Dave Allen fighting Nick Webb, but I am a little bit concerned about the fight taking place so soon after Dave Allen was stopped by Tony Yoka in his last fight. That was, what, just about a month ago. Now, according to the British Board of Boxing Control website here, it says the minimum suspension period for boxers knocked out or stopped by punches to the head will now be between 28 and 45 days at the discretion of the board's medical officers at ringside. Allen's fight against Tony Yoka, where he got stopped, was in France, so I don't know whether there was a British board representative there. Sometimes there is when British fighters fight abroad. I don't know if there always is. But yeah, he took a lot of punches in that fight against Tony Yoka, and some very damaging punches, particularly in the last round when he was stopped. It was a long fight. It was a grueling fight. And I'm just a little uncomfortable, as I say, about the Nick Webb fight happening so soon after Dave Allen was stopped, even though it may fall within the 28-day period, 28 to 45-day period, which is the minimum time period that has to pass before a boxer will be allowed to fight again under the British Board of Boxing Control jurisdiction following a stoppage or knockout loss. So technically, yeah, Dave Allen is eligible to fight, but I have to question this period right here. Now, I seem to remember, maybe I'm misremembering, but I seem to remember the British Board introducing a 60 or 90-day suspension period for boxers. Perhaps they revised that and reduced it because there are obviously a lot of journeymen in British boxing who make their living the way people make a living as electricians or carpenters or joiners or whatever the case may be. There are British journeymen who make their living fighting 4-rounders and 6-rounders and whatnot. And many of them would have been upset if it was a 60-day suspension or a 90-day suspension every time you get stopped, because they wouldn't be able to make a living. All right? But you have to put the fighter's health first. That's my take on it. Because we don't want to see people get hurt in the ring. I don't want to see it. I've seen it far too many times in my lifetime. You know, I remember very clearly the Michael Watson, Chris Eubank Senior rematch. I remember very clearly the Gerald McClellan fight. I remember very clearly the Bradley Stone fight. Okay? I've seen many fighters over the years get seriously hurt. Some even killed. I would like to keep this thing to a minimum if we can. You see, Dave Allen is typical of so many boxers who are too brave for their own good. The man is a warrior. The man has little to no concern for his own health with regards to boxing. This man will get in there and fight King Kong. Well, he did fight King Kong, remember? Luis Ortiz? Yeah, so this guy is going to fight anybody. He's a warrior. And when you're dealing with people like Dave Allen, who have this warrior mentality, they need protecting from themselves. But in boxing, you have no friends. Everybody's just out to make a buck off you, to make money from you. And they will only call your phone if you can make them some money. That's how 99.9% of people are in the boxing industry. And therefore, there are not enough safeguards in place for fighters. So for me, I think the British board should do more here and increase. I know a lot of journeymen and other fighters will not like to hear this, but I think they should increase the suspension period for fighters who have been stopped to, I would say, a minimum of 45 days. And I would say up to 60 days or 90 days, you know, double the 45, make it 90. Because it's not only them getting, them taking damage in the ring during a knockout defeat, but when they come back from that, it's all the sparring and training camp and all that kind of thing, which adds more miles on the clock and puts more damage on them. So, I would say that promoters and managers, etc., should take responsibility and have the boxer's health in mind, but they're getting paid. Really, it's not their responsibility. From a moral point of view, you would like to think it was their responsibility to have the boxer's health in mind, but they're not thinking about morals. Eddie Hearn is not thinking about, is it morally right? Is it safe? That's not what most promoters and managers think about. They think about, can I make some money out of this situation? And they'll justify it by saying, well, the fighter's making money too. But in terms of the fighter's health, obviously managers and particularly promoters who are dealing with the public all the time, they don't want to have tragedies on their shows because it makes them look bad, right? They don't want that negative publicity. But at the same time, they're often risk takers. But when it comes to the British board, who have a very stringent medical procedure, by the way, very stringent medical checks when boxers are applying for licenses, usually anyway, not always, but usually they're very stringent when it comes to their medical, far more stringent than many commissions are in the United States, for example. The British board are very stringent, relatively speaking. But with regards to this particular rule, only 28 days if someone's been stopped. Maybe that's in the instance of a guy who's been stopped prematurely, where he didn't really take a lot of damage, and maybe there's some controversy attached to the stoppage. I don't know. But Dave Allen wasn't in a situation like that. Dave Allen took a lot of punishment against Tony Yoka in a 10-round fight, and some seriously big shots in that 10th round when he got stopped from a 242-pound man who was hitting him hard. He was unloading on him. And yeah, just a month after that, he's stepping in against Nick Webb, and Nick Webb is a puncher. Nick Webb arguably hits harder than Tony Yoka. He's a very big man himself, just like Yoka, but probably hits harder than the guy. Maybe not as skilled a boxer, in fact, definitely not as skilled a boxer, but hits harder. So this is likely to be another brutal fight for Dave Allen. And again, he's a warrior. Dave Allen has little to no regard for his own health in a boxing ring. So somebody has to step in when you're dealing with fighters like this and say, no, we're not going to allow it from a moral point of view. This is not the Roman Colosseum. We don't want to see deaths and serious injuries in boxing rings. So, yeah, I would have no issue with Dave Allen fighting Nick Webb if it was in a month time from now or 2 months time or something like that. No issue. But the fact it's happening so soon after the Yoka fight, I'm a little concerned by that, particularly against the puncher like Webb. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree with regards to the minimum suspension period for fighters following knockout or stoppage losses? Dave Allen is just within the minimum suspension period of 28 days by the time he steps in the ring against Nick Webb, because as you see, he fought Yoka on the 23rd of June, and his fight against Webb will be on the 28th of July, so just over that 28-day limit. Yeah. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comment section. It's Satman, I'm out.